Does your bike sound like a drum kit falling down a set of stairs? Well, don't worry, because we are going to show you some top tips how to make your bike super quiet. Now, a quiet bike is a fast bike, and we've got some tips today to show you to quieten your bike right down, but don't worry, they won't break the bank. This is cameraman Max's personal bike, and he's been having trouble with all sorts of different noises which you might get from your bike, which make it just not quite as fun to ride.
Yeah, thanks Will. It's really overdue a service, so.
Well, you're a busy man, you've been popping out all these MBUK videos, so yeah, don't worry, I'm here to sort your bike. Now, one of the main culprits for noise when you're descending is flappy cables, and as you can see, there's a few of them on Max's bike. Do you do some bar spins, Max?
No, fresh out of the bar spins, I'm afraid.
All right, well in that case, we can cut these down. That's the first thing we can do. And then there are a few cheap bits we can fit on this bike to help quieten those cables.
How about my dropper?
Yeah, we don't need all that.
I think that's probably the longest one. It's
All
got
right.
quite a kink on there.
No comment. You want to make sure you can get maximum steering lock either way, so make sure the cables aren't impeding you turning the bars. So for example, on Max's bike, if he's doing an X up, he might go as far as here, so we'll make sure the dropper post cable is that long. So I'm going to mark it now with the permanent marker. This is where we want to cut it. Fresh inner cable for you, yeah. There she is at the other end.
Oh yeah, that's looking way shorter.
One thing you can do if you've already cut your cables down to the right length is you can join them together. So if you have a bit of a mass of cables joined together, they're less likely to flap about. They'll hold each other in place. So you can get clips like these ones from Jaguar. Other brands are available. If you don't have these or can't afford these and you're on a budget, just put some zip ties around, but this is the neatest way to do it. So we've got 4 for, I think it was around £5, like $6 or $7, so not very much. So just clip them on. So this side goes onto your brake cable, that's 5mm, and this side goes onto your gear or dropper cable, which is 4mm. And there you go. So cables that hopefully will be a bit quieter now. This is a good tip for zipping your front brake hose to your rear brake hose, and that can be a way to quieten it down. So either you just put the zip tie on like this, tighten it up, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Or you get a piece of hose like this, cut that down, you feed it through your zip tie like that.
Okay.
Go around here, back through your zip tie. Just adds a little bit of waggle room and a bit of wiggle room in there and a little bit of extra damping for the cables. So that's all done now. We've done your clipping of your cables and we've done the shortening of the cables. Now your cables should all be whisper quiet. So another area of the bike that can really add some noise in an unpleasant way is chain slap. So modern clutch mechs are great, but they still aren't infallible. So sometimes your chain can make contact with your frame, and even just flapping around on your chainring and cassette can make a bit of noise. Now, one way to sort that out is to tighten the clutch if you have a Shimano mech. So here's very briefly how to do it. Firstly, take off this cover. So underneath you'll have this. This is the friction band, this silver bit, and the friction band is tightened and loosened with this bolt here. So you can either do this with the clutch done up or undone. I like to do it with it done up so I can get an idea of how much torque I'm putting into it. So if you tighten it this way, it doesn't actually take much torque to do, and then you can have a look how much force it takes to push the clutch forward. So you can see it rotating there when I push on it. So that's quite a lot of breakaway force, so that should be fine.
And what about for those with SRAM drivetrains?
So unfortunately the clutches on SRAM mechs are non-adjustable. So if you find that your clutch has gone baggy, the only thing you can do is get a new mech. Another really good way of getting rid of chain slap is to fit some kind of chainstay protector. Now, you can either go old school and purchase one like a neoprene one, or use a piece of inner tube like on Max's hardtail. A lot of manufacturers include a molded chainstay protector as standard, so this is what comes with this specialized chisel. The other thing you can do, which is really good, is get some of this mastic tape. Now, it's not cheap. This is about 25 to 30 pounds or like 40 euros a roll, so it's quite a lot. but it is really good. It's moldable and it's sticky and it's vibration damping, so it keeps everything really quiet. We're going to put it just behind the back of the seat stay here, as the chain can come into contact with the seat stay in the harder gears. So first I'm going to clean the area here where I want to put the mastic tape. So it comes in a big roll like this. It's spread on the brown paper. And it just looks like that. This is our length that we're going to use, so just a little bit to go on the back of the frame. And this side is adhesive. So as it warms up with the heat of your hand, you'll feel that you can start to mould it into shape.
Yeah, that does look quite pro, doesn't it? I had this image in my head that it would be like a real mess.
There we are, factory. And you can mould it into your own chainstay protector. So if you want something that looks like this with bumps on, you'll see World Cup teams like Trek Factory Racing sometimes making their own, especially if it's a prototype frame without a moulded chainstay protector included. So one thing that we've found is sometimes batteries on e-bikes can rattle around. So the first thing you want to do is check everything is done up tightly to the manufacturer's spec. So for example, on this bike here, this bolt, just make sure that's torqued up properly and there's no chance of the battery rattling around. If there's still some noise coming from it, you can drop the battery out of the bike and put some foam or some mastic tape or some Velcro on the corners of the battery where they contact the frame. And then once you reinstall it, hopefully that will quieten it down a bit. Now, one major annoying source of noise with bicycles can be squeaks and creaks. So with Max's bike, one of those issues is with the saddle. Yeah, so the way we can sort that is to take the saddle off the seat post and then just clean it all and then put it back together and tighten the bolts to torque. So that's what we're going to do now. So yeah, this definitely needs a bit of a clean, Max.
Right, yeah. Apologies. So I've had that saddle for many years now and it's never creaked up until recently. Is that just old age, or is that it needs a good thorough clean? Or?
Well, if you imagine every time you wash it, you're putting like dirt like around things. So as the saddle moves back and forward, even like minute amounts, some of that like silt and water is just going to work its way in and that can cause it to creak.
Ah, I see, okay.
So I'm also going to grease the heads of the bolts where they interfere with the seat post, because it's designed to move. It's on like a sort of ball arrangement. So you can grease those bits, but I wouldn't recommend greasing the rail and the clamp. That's supposed to be dry. So now we're going to torque the bolts to spec, which for this seat post is 8 Newton meters. Okay, moment of truth.
Look at that.
Nothing.
Gone.
Another place you can find creaks and squeaks is any place where there's an interference fit between your parts. So this means something that slides on and then is supposed to grip. So the main one would be like cranks. So where your crank axle goes into the other crank. And what you want to do with those areas is make sure they are greased and torqued up to spec. So clean it, grease it and torque it up to spec. So you can do that with your cranks, you can do that with your headset, and you can do that with your hubs and your axles. So anywhere where there's supposed to be grease, clean it and re-grease it, especially if there is any kind of metal surfaces rubbing together like axles. Now, it may be unglamorous, but one of the most important parts of having a nice, quiet bike is taking care of that maintenance routine. Contaminated brakes, rumbly jockey wheels, and bolts that aren't torqued properly are all going to be things that add up to a noisy bike that shows lack of care. The solution is to go through your bike, give it a safety check and make sure everything is properly cleaned, lubricated and torqued to spec. And anything that's worn out, make sure you do replace it. So there's definitely something that's adding to the noise on your bike. So if you're off the brake levers, these are making a real racket. So you want to replace these bushes in here, or if you're thinking of upgrading the brakes, then obviously you'll get new levers with them. But yeah, that's going to add to the noise that you're hearing as you're going down the trail. So yeah, even little things can all add up. We hope you learned something useful from this video. If you think we missed anything, let us know your tips for keeping your bike quiet in the comments. And next, why not check out this video?